The 2021 grid is about to look a hell of a lot different next year. With new faces, a comeback, driver swaps all over the place, this is one of the craziest silly seasons we've had in the modern era. We haven't seen a silly season quite this chaotic in recent years, with 12 drivers on the grid being impacted, team name changes, and quite frankly, contracts just being thrown out the window.
We have a lot of events to cover here, but first, before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel, leave it a like if ever you are enjoying this video, and let us know down in the comments which driver change shocked you the most this year.
When looking back at some of the more memorable events within silly seasons of the modern era, people are most likely to think of surprise retirements, new driver lineups, and drivers unexpectedly getting dropped from their teams. For example, Nico Rosberg's surprise retirement comes to mind, as well as Esteban Ocon's demise being kicked out of Force India only to return to Renault a couple of years later. But of course, one of the biggest surprises in recent years was Daniel Ricciardo's announcement that he would be leaving the Red Bull family to pursue other adventures.
On the contrary, there has been some years where we've seen little driver movement, but nothing would compare to the silly season we just experienced in 2020. Let's revisit all the changes that took place this year and brought us to where we are today. Before the season even started, we already had some drivers already confirm their seats,
with Charles, Max, and Sergio already confirming 3-year contracts with their respective teams.
But then Ferrari dropped a bombshell on us. Our first major announcement came when Ferrari confirmed that they will not be re-signing Vettel for next season, thus meaning there was a vacant seat at Ferrari for next year.
Rumors began swirling once this announcement was made, but ultimately Ferrari soon after confirmed that they would be signing Carlos Sainz to the team for a 1-year contract. Evidently, with Carlos Sainz's departure from McLaren, this meant that a seat would be opening up. However, it did not take long before Daniel Ricciardo himself was confirmed to be joining Lando Norris for the upcoming season. Things remained quiet for a little bit on the announcement front, that is until July, when Fernando Alonso was announced to be making his return to F1 by signing with Renault, which would be turning into Alpine next year.
Our next announcement to come in July was when the duo of Russell and Latifi were signed again for Williams Racing. With Russell staying with Williams, this removed the question of who was going to be in the second seat at Mercedes. Soon after, in August, Valtteri signed for Mercedes with a 1-year contract.
One of the most shocking factors of the season came in September when Sergio Perez announced that he would not be remaining with Racing Point in the following year, despite the fact that he had previously signed a 3-year contract with them. Despite being with the team for 7 years, he put out a statement on his social medias indicating that his contract had been terminated. This left a lot of room for speculation as to what had happened, what were the discussions behind the scene, and ultimately it was just a waiting game to see who would take that second slot.
After a couple of weeks in the month of September, rumors were confirmed that it would be Sebastian Vettel to take the seat at Racing Point.
And although it wasn't formally announced, we can assume that Lance Stroll was going to be the second driver alongside Vettel as the team rebrands to Aston Martin Racing next year.
With remaining seats filling up quickly, our attention moved towards the Haas and Alfa Romeo teams. What added more to this was the rumors going around on whether or not these two teams would be keeping their experienced drivers, picking up some of the drivers that didn't have a seat at this moment, or bringing up some rookies into the team. It wasn't until the month of October when Haas confirmed that both Grosjean and Magnussen would not be returning to the team next year.
We would begin to get our answers soon enough though, as Pierre Gasly was confirmed to re-sign for AlphaTauri in the upcoming season, but this put into speculation whether Daniel Kvyat would also retain his seat, with most people thinking it was unlikely. And despite the fact that he was asked in nearly every possible press conference about his potential retirement, it was shortly announced thereafter that Kimi and Giovinazzi would both be retained to the Alfa Romeo team.
This would mark their 3rd year together as teammates and add fuel to the fire of which rookie would get promoted from F2. With
Perez still left without a seat nearing the end of the season, rumors had begun swirling about him potentially coming in to steal a seat from Russell at Williams, although we did get a confirmation at the end of October that Williams would continue with their plan of Latifi and Russell.
In the month of December, it was announced following his Formula 2 championship win that Mick Schumacher would be joining the Haas F1 team alongside Nikita Mazepin
As the F1 season came to a close in Abu Dhabi, we finally got to see the mentality that the Red Bull teams would be using for the upcoming season, as it was revealed that Yuki Tsunoda would be signing on to AlphaTauri in 2021, therefore confirming that Daniel Kvyat would be left without a seat.
With this announcement, this removed any possibility of Albon being demoted to the AlphaTauri team, much like how Gasly was the year previously.
After a season-long debate as to whether Albon would be retained at Red Bull or not, and the announcement continuously being pushed back week after week, it finally came down to the wire. Would he keep his seat or would he lose it to Checo? The week following the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, we finally got our answer as it was revealed that Sergio Perez would be partnering alongside Max in 2021. Therefore, this meant that Alex Albon would be shifted over to test driver with focus on 2022 development.
And this pretty much leaves only one seat left to confirm for next year. Lewis Hamilton has yet to sign a contract, but following Toto Wolff signing for 3 years with Mercedes, it's without a doubt that Lewis will be with the team for the next years to come.
So that does it. That covers all of the changes that we have seen in the driver lineup for the 2020 season and beyond. And to think, though, that it could have been even more chaotic had one or two teams just shifted their lineup ever so slightly.
Let's say, for example, had Kimi decided to retire after this season, or if Alfa Romeo decided to not retain Giovinazzi. It would have opened up 2 seats at the team for perhaps Callum Ilott to make his F1 debut, or Mick Schumacher to go to this team instead.
Of course, things could have been so incredibly different if Mercedes had decided to promote George Russell instead of re-signing Valtteri for the next year. However, rumors about this are still swirling around after Russell's extremely strong performance at the Secure Grand Prix. Could Valtteri's contract be in jeopardy regardless? I mean, we've already seen other contracts get thrown out the window this year. There's seemingly still a possibility.
So that is why the 2020 silly season is a year like no other in Formula One.
We ran a poll on our Twitter and asked you guys if you thought 2020 was the craziest silly season we've had yet, and the response was overwhelmingly yes.
Let us know down in the comments if any of the changes shocked you, which ones did you predict yourself, what's your views on the contracts not being followed? We'd love to hear it.
With the entire lineup pretty much confirmed at this point, we can already start working on our predictions for 2022.
If you have enjoyed this recap of the 2020 silly season, give it a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and we will catch you in the next one.
Bye!